So,
then
as
usher
we
in
intend,
the chair
even as
to
a regional
deliver
body,
his
Sadc,
welcome
to say,
remarks and officially open this meeting. I now call upon the Executive Secretary of Sadc to deliver introductory remarks.
Your Excellency Dr. Hussein Al-Yamini, President of Zanzibar, representing Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and the Chairperson of the organ, Politics, Defense, Security Cooperation. Your Excellency Mr. Paul Mashatile, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Mr. Mulambo Haimbe, Your Excellency Mr. Paul Mashatile, the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Mr. Mulambo Haimbe, Your Excellency Mr. Paul Mashatile, of the Deputy President of the South Africa, Honorable Harim Kanye, Dr. Lazarus Mati, President of the Republic of Malawi, and the incoming chairperson of the organ. Your Excellencies, heads of delegation, Honorable Ambassador Mahmoud Tabit Kombo, Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation of the United Republic of Tanzania, and the chairperson of the Ministerial Committee of the organ, and all honorable ministers from the Sadc member states with us, the Secretariat staff, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, a very good morning to you all. It is with great honor and humility that I welcome you all to this extraordinary Organ Tracker Summit, which is being held here in this beautiful city of Harare, in the Republic of South Africa. I wish to express our sincere thanks to Your Excellencies for making time to attend this meeting despite your very busy schedule. Your presence at this meeting, I wish to express our sincere thanks, value you attach to the Sadc peace, security, and development agenda. I also wish to express our sincere gratitude to the Republic of Zimbabwe for graciously providing these wonderful facilities that are within for convening the extraordinary summit and all the preceding meetings. The hospitality and support that we have received from the government of Zimbabwe have been exceptional, signifying the commitment to the promotion of peace, security, and stability of our region. The months of October and November 2024 have been a very busy period in the calendar of SADC, with 3 elections undertaken in this very short time in the republics of Mozambique, Botswana, and Mauritius, and proceeding to the Republic of Namibia for the election scheduled for the 27th of this very month. Through the SADC electoral observation missions, SADC has continued to ensure that the elections in the region are held in line with the SADC principles and guidelines governing democratic elections, which promote regular, free, fair, transparent, credible, and peaceful democratic elections. To this end, I wish to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the chairperson of the organ, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for expeditiously appointing and dispatching heads of the SADC electoral observation missions to the 4 member states. We take this opportunity to congratulate the newly elected leaders of Mozambique, Botswana, and Mauritius. Your Excellencies, your meeting today will consider primarily the future of the SADC mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or SAMI-DRC for short, as the mandate is coming to an end next month. I I wish to inform Your Excellencies that since the deployment of SAMI DRC in December last year, the mission has created some stability for the population affected by the armed conflict, who have sought refuge in the area of SAMIM operation. The intervention of the SAMI DRC prevented a planned capture of the city of Goma and the town of Sadc, a situation that could have worsened the security and humanitarian situation in the area. The deployment of the SAMI DRC has created an enabling environment for political and diplomatic initiatives undertaken over the past 4 months, including the 2-week humanitarian truce that was reached in July this year and a ceasefire deal struck on the 4th August this year between the governments of the DRC and Rwanda. Notwithstanding the incremental progress, the overall security and humanitarian situation in the DRC is still concerning and requires constant monitoring and vigilance. Armed groups continue to carry out sporadic attacks on the armed forces of the DRC and civilians, leading to the dire humanitarian conditions. It is disheartening, Your Excellencies, to note that during the period from June to August 2024, an estimated 6.5 million people are internally displaced, most of whom have migrated to the area of SAMI DRC due to safer environment created by the mission presence and interventions. We look forward to your deliberations and decisions that should take into account the aforesaid gains made by the mission, as well as the challenges that ought to be addressed to bring stability in Eastern DRC. I am confident that the outcome of this extraordinary summit will embolden our resolve as a region to continue supporting our brothers and sisters in the Eastern DRC and the government to attain peace, security, for peace and reconciliation in Africa under the Luanda process for facilitating the ceasefire between the parties. However, we are gravely concerned about the reported violations of the very same ceasefire by some parties to this agreement, which must be condemned in the strongest of terms. We had hoped that the ceasefire would create a conducive
I'm sorry if I offended you.
You were divorced 11 years ago. Get over it.
His head on
between
the
the parties,
table is
while
hitting
also
the table.
enabling a seamless flow of humanitarian support to the people affected by the armed conflict. No effort, Your Excellencies, must be spared to ensure that this crucial ceasefire is nurtured and sustained. It must be a stepping stone for progress and not retreat, and be a fertile ground for enriching engagements and lasting peace to germinate and blossom. The region must therefore, in my view, help President Lorenzo to ensure this is achieved. In conclusion, I wish to thank the chairperson of the Sadc organ, Her Excellency Dr. Hassan, for championing the demanding work of the organ and her leadership and commitment to peace, security, and stability of the region. I would also like to express our gratitude to Honorable Ambassador Kombo, the chairperson of the MCO, who ably shaped and steered the discussions of the MCO to make recommendations and laid the groundwork for your deliberations this morning. By extension, we must recognize the enormous work of the senior officials who sifted through copious amounts of documents to prepare final papers for the MCO and the extraordinary Troika Summit. With these few remarks, may I humbly invite His Excellency Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar and representing the chairperson of the Sadc organ Troika, to deliver the opening remarks and officially open the extraordinary Troika Summit. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Muito obrigado. Asante sana, tatenda. Karibu Mheshimiwa Mwenyekiti. The chairperson of the Sadc organ Troika to deliver the opening remarks and officially open the extraordinary Troika summit. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Muito obrigado. Asante sana, tatenda. Karibu Mheshimiwa Mwenyekiti.
Waheshimiwa wawakilishi, Honorable of Heads of States and Government, Troika, Honorable Ministers, senior officials, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start by thanking God, the Almighty, for granting us good health, but also making sure that we have attended this in this Troika, Sadc Troika, the Organ Troika Summit. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all participants on behalf of Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and the chairperson of the organ. I would like to thank the government and the people of the Republic of Zimbabwe for the hospitality since we arrived in this beautiful city of Harare. Before I continue, I would like to bring to you wonderful greetings from Dr. Suluhu Hassan, who is not together with us here because of other engagements. Your Excellency, I would like to thank Dr. Mnangagwa, President of Republic of Zimbabwe, and the chairperson of SADC for convening this meeting for the betterment of this SADC. Secretariat, led by Excellence Elias Mahosi, Executive Secretary, for the facilitation of this August meeting, together with the other meetings that started and on 17th November. We thank you very much. The representatives of heads of states and government, URT, thank very much the government of Zambia through His Excellency Mnangagwa, and the chairperson, the outgoing chairperson, who has been always busy in his tenure. I believe that this summit will give us positivity in reaching out a very important business with regard to peacekeeping in Eastern DRC. Your Excellencies, I would like to inform you, since URT took over the power of the organ, has been very busy in the SEOM activities that were done in Mozambique, Botswana, Mauritius, and now Namibia. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all member states that have held of recent their elections in peaceful manner. I would like to also commend all heads that have been appointed in this regard, and we believe that we'll always be with them in making sure that the objectives of the regional agendas are fulfilled. Representatives of the heads of states and governments, we are here as per our program to discuss and deliberate with regard to peace in Eastern DRC, in particular this time when the mission of Summit DRC is about to end, and it is 15th December 2024. With this regard, during our discussion, we'll pay attention to the peace in Eastern DRC, paying attention that there are still some armed groups that make killings, but also are not stable making us unstable in giving humanitarian aid. Now, in order to make sure that our efforts are always fruitful, it's very important for the region to have strategies in place that will help us under Sammedia Sea, but also under diplomacy and under the process given. And through URT, we are going always to support diplomatic missions that will waive conflicts that are between DRC and Rwanda and His Excellency Lorenzo, President of Republic of Angola. Having this more in attention, I would like to inform you, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of UST, has invited President Lorenzo to give what is going on under this process, Angola process. Dear representatives of the heads of states and government, we are all aware that our countries are facing financial difficulties. Besides these hurdles, member states should always come together to make sure that we go together as per the Sadc legal documents. So we should not hesitate to help DRC to restore peace, because without doing this, peace and stability and security in Eastern DRC won't be sustainable. With this regard, we member states should always cooperate, paying attention to this so that we can have peaceful and developed region. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude my speech, I would like to reiterate that as we continue discussing the peace agenda in Eastern DRC, we need to have sustainable monitoring mechanisms that can help and regional issues that can help us in our missions, including AU and international one. This will help us bring up, come up with logistic and humanitarian assistances in our missions, and therefore reduce running costs. I am aware that Sadc Secretariat will continue engaging ICPs for some areas. Please, let's always continue with this pace, and I believe that today's summit, together with the recommendations and deliberations, will always be a pillar for our Sadc, and in particular DRC. In fulfilling this is our always engagement to making sure that peace and security things that are not promoting peace and security will be wiped away. And now in this regard, I would like to say the Troika Tripartite Summit of the Sadc has officially been launched. Thank you very much for your attention.
Mheshimiwa viongozi, kabla hatuja Before we proceed, I would like to request all participants of the meeting to rise for 1 minute in to remember our soldiers who lost their lives in implementing their duty of peacekeeping in the DRC through the Sami DRC mission. We may all rise. Thank you very much. We may be seated.
chairperson of this Organ Troika Summit, Dr. Hussein Al-Lumweni, President of Zanzibar, who is representing the chairperson of the Sadc Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Chairperson, Your Excellency, please allow me to apologize to not the Minister of Defense, even though she's in our midst. That we have come to the conclusion of the opening ceremony.
Welcome to Zimbabwe, the House of Stones, Zimbabwe, a land of great people, a land of wonders. From the thundering smoke of the majestic Victoria Falls to the rolling valleys and mountains of the enchanting Eastern Highlands, the mystical water spirit of the Nyami Nyami in the Kariba, one of the world's largest dams. Welcome to Zimbabwe. Be at home in this great nation of warm, friendly and cultured people. Welcome to Zimbabwe. Tinokugashirai, siyakuyamukela. Sadc.
Thank you so much for staying tuned with us on this special live broadcast of the Sadc Extraordinary Summit currently underway in Mount Hampton. And there, of course, the opening of the Troika organ. Remarks are being shared by the representative of President Hassan of Tanzania, highlighting, of course, some of the perspectives developed by Sadc with regards to concerns that have been raised on conflicts within the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I'm also looking forward to unraveling a few more aspects of this discussion. Joining me in studio is Professor Namo Miripiri, who is a media expert, and I'm also joined by Dr. Augustine Tirivangana, historian, to be able to at least touch on a few of the aspects that have been brought up. We always do appreciate hearing from you. Feel free to send us your questions, your comments, and your contributions on our social media platform at ZBC News Online. I guess we'll start off with Dr. Tirivangana. Maybe you can just briefly share with us your thoughts.
It's organic men, right? We need to DRC and Uganda. We are most likely
taking place because under which ban?
Even within the DRC, there is no cat which is bad, whether the cat is black or the cat is white. As long as it does catch mice, it's the correct catch and the correct cat. So I think we have to broaden our horizon so that we are not confining ourselves unnecessarily and unnecessarily disadvantage ourselves. So we also have to leverage on the incoming incumbency of Donald Trump and his peace loving. In his last approach, government,
sure,
we did not hear any blade anywhere.
Once again, a very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for staying tuned to ZBC. All those of you also, of course, also viewing on our ZBC News online platform. It is the extension of the Sadc Extraordinary Summit currently underway in Mount Hampton. We're going to be crossing over live towards Nai Mombera and Monica Chanda, who are currently in Mount Hampton, and we'll be following the proceedings from there.
Aiwa, toda kutenda Farai nenyanzvi dzaunadzo ikoko kuPockets Studios. Tichienderera mberi tikupaika zviri kuitika pamusangano unokosha weSadc Extraordinary Summit. Indonzi wadzanai Mumbera. Tiri kuno kuMount Hampton kuNew Parliament Building. Kunova ndiko kwazviri kuitika nhasi uno musi wa20 November 2024, musangano unokosha wenyika dzemudunhu reSadc. Musangano unotarisa nyaya dzingava dzinoda kugadziriswa mudunhu rino, ndokusaka vatungamiri venyika dzemuSadc vari kuya kuno mukati mezuva ranhasi. Takaona misangano ichitanga bva musi weSunday nemakurukota ehurumende vachigadzirira zuva ranhasi. So ZBC News and Current Affairs tinenge tichikupai zviri kuitika kuno mukati mezuva ranhasi kusvikira musangano uyu wapera tanzwa zvinenge zvabuda mumusangano uyu. So handisi ndega pano, ndine mumwe wangu Mo Chanda watiri kufamba tese tiri kuno. Mo, wamuka sei?
Well, indeed, it is a very good morning, and it is a joyous moment in terms of being at this magnificent new Parliament building right here in Mount Hampton, where we are bringing you the live broadcast of the extraordinary Sadc Summit. Yes, the extraordinary Summit of Sadc Heads of State and Government, where we are seeing the 16-member countries of the Sadc bloc coming to this extraordinary summit, which was prompted by those disturbances happening in eastern parts of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And of course, we did see the deployment of the Sadc mission in those parts to deal with those instabilities that were also bringing about a crisis as well as a humanitarian crisis, if we can put it that way. And of course, seeing to the mandate of the agenda that will be part of this extraordinary summit, we will also be looking to hear the reviews that were made in terms of the elections that were in the region. As you all know, there were elections in Botswana, we saw elections in Mozambique, in Mauritius, and there is the upcoming elections coming to Namibia. So it is these elections also that will be on the table with regards this extraordinary Sadc summit. But of course, peace and security are very critical, to the region's economic agenda. When we're talking to regional integration, when we're talking to investment, without peace, without stability, there is no room for that investment. There is no room for development, infrastructure growth. And so the heads of state and government coming to the fore and ensuring that with this extraordinary summit, the conversations around how they can continue to promote peace and stability in the region, how can they ensure that for the deployment of the various missions, these will continue to ensure that that stability is enjoyed in these countries.
Limkotolelo Monica ukuthi ukuthula uqhakathekile kumhlubulo weSadc kuze kube lentuthuko emazweni eSadc. Konke abakhokheli namhlanje behlangana behlaziya indaba ezingeke zixaka ke ukuthula kundaweni ezishiyeneyo, njengokuthi kwaMonica ukuthi ke kube lokhetho eMozambique, lokhetho eBotswana, kwaba lokhetho eMauritius, khangelele njalo ukuthi kuzaba lokhetho olulandelayo kwele Namibia. Amazwe eSadc khangelele ukuthi ke konke lokho kwenziwayo kuqhutshwe ngendlela efaneleyo, kube lokuthula. Yikho namhlanje behlangana behlaziya ke udaba lweDRC. Siyazi ukuthi ke sonke indaba yeDRC silesikhathi kulokungahlaliseki eDRC. Okokuthi ke iSadc yagcina ithubela ke behlanganisa ke ibutho elathunyelwa ukuthi liyesebenza eDRC. So isikhathi salo sokusebenza sisaphela. So lo mhlangano usukhangela ukuthi ke bengaqhubekela phambili belokho beseDRC kuze kube lokuthula. Lezinye indaba eziqhakathekileyo ezabe zihlaziwa ke namhlanje Monica, msangano uda kutharisa ukuthi vakatumwa vaye kunoshanda kuDRC voramba vari kwere kana kuti vodzoka vopfuurira mberi here sezvo kusati kwane kugadzikana. So tiri kuona kuti mangwanana ano kune musangano weSadc Troika unosanganisira nyika 3, Tanzania inenge iriyo ndiyo sachigaro, Zambia pamwe chete neMalawi ichazova sachigaro zvakare. Ndo vari kusangana pari zvino pano paMount Hampton vachikurukura naurwa yekugadzikana mudunhu rino vakatarisa zvikuru nyaya yeDRC. Masikati takuenda kunodoka kwezuva Monica tichazoona extraordinary summit of heads of state and government yacho takuona vatungamiri vese vemuSADC nevavatuma kuti vazovamiririra vakuchikurukura vachipedzisa kuti zvoitwa sei kuti muSADC muve nerunyararo. Tichazonzwa kunyangwe SADC executive secretary Elias Magose vakutipa zvabuda mukati memusangano iwoyo kuti chii chakuitwa kuitira dunhu reSADC rirambe rakabatana rine runyararo richitarisa nyaya yebudiriro, nyaya yekuti maindustry emuSADC abudirire, vanhu vagare zvakanaka. Monica, nyaya hombe inoda kuti vatungamiri vanoda kuti muSADC muve nekugadzikana uye vanhu vagare zvakanaka.
Absolutely. And just taking our viewers through the schedule itself, what transpired from day one for those who did not have an opportunity to actually watch through the proceedings on ZBC TV. We did start off day one with the meeting of the senior officials of the Ministerial Committee of the organ, and they did meet Sunday morning. With some of those meetings, there was also the drafting of documents that were put together, and later on that day we saw the meeting of the Ministerial Committee of the organ, and of course that organ on politics, defense and security. With the second day coming through, the Standing Committee of Senior Officials and Finance Committee also coming through to deliberate on those very issues. So they did convene and they had a closed door session where they also got to look at some of the details with regard some of these critical issues, mainly looking to these issues with regards the issue of the mandate, the SADC mission mandate in the DRC, as well as the review of the elections that were in the region. And we also saw the Council of Ministers meeting with also the senior officials of the organ troika also happening on that second day. Third day, Wadzanai, the Ministerial Committee of the organ troika, which also came through, obviously with the heat, the heated conversations that were happening in the room. We did also get to catch some of the remarks that then came through with regards some of the issues that we anticipated to then happen, which is on the main day, which is today, where we will have the Organ Troika Summit, which is underway, and later on the very big event, which is the Extraordinary SADC Summit. But you did speak of the disturbances in DRC, and one could probably ask, what exactly is happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo? Obviously, the country is experiencing one of the world's biggest humanitarian crisis, with the Congolese army, its allies, fighting numerous rebel groups. There are numerous rebel groups that are including the March 23 movement, which is abbreviated M23. So they actually took control of the territory in eastern parts of DRC, and hence why there was that mandate of the SADC mission to actually be deployed in those parts to deal with those rebels. But of course, we will also be looking to what supposedly going to be something of interest as well, in terms of, is there going to be an extension to that SADC mission? Is there going to be that extension to say the situation is not entirely under 100% control in terms of peace and stability? So this is what we are going to be waiting to hear as we get to have the heads of state and government get to receive those recommendations that were from those preceding meetings. So the fighting appears to also have intensified this year. And for those who were also following some of the other issues of concern in the region, Cabo Delgado in Mozambique, that was another very critical issue which the region had to actually look into in terms of ensuring that peace and security prevails.
Chokwadi Monica, pane zvauri kubva kutaura izvozvo kuti kune Cabo Delgado kuMozambique kunova kusina kugadzikana zvakare, koti sarudzo dzakaitwa kuMozambique, koti kuEastern DRC kwauri kutaura ndo zvapa kuti vatungamiri vemuSADC vati ngatitei muchirungu emergency meeting, nekuti ngatisanganei varume, takasangana zvedu muna August, but ngatisanganei futi tigadzirise nyaya idzi, nekuti tikatarisa dunhu reSADC muAfrica ndo dunhu rimwe ragara rine runyararo kwemakore akawanda, asi pane zvaakuitika zvaita kuti vatungamiri vati uyai tisangane tione tipaitise musoro pamwe tionewo kuti tingagadzirisa sei nhau dziri kunetsa kunyanya kueastern DRC kwavataura kune ma M23 rebels nevamwe vari kurwisana nehurumende. Tinoziva kuti inyaya yeupfumi huriko zvingava zvicherwa zviri muDRC zvinoita kuti pave nezhowe ndo iri kunzi nenyika dzeSADC toramba here tine mauto atakatumira ari ikoko achibatsirana nehurumende yekuDRC kuti kuve nerunyararo kana kuti vochidzoka basa ravo rapera. Saka ndo zvimwe zviri kukurukurwa kuti vaone kuti pane chikonzero chokuti varambe variko uyezve kana kuti vodzoka. Uye pataurwa zvakare nhau dzekuti panoda mari yekushandisa kuitira kuti mishini yekuDRC irambe iripo. Ndo nhaurwa dziri kukurukurwa kubva Sande kutaurwa naMonica kuya kuti vanhu vakanga vakasangana kubva Sande vachikurukura nhau idzi, makurukota ehurumende, vakuru vehurumende vachikurukura nyaya idzi dzichange dzichapedziswa nhasi nevatungamiri venyika mu-extraordinary summit. Vakuchikurukura kuti zvino taakuchidii kuitira kuti muSADC murambe mune runyararo, nyika dzine nzvimbo dzine mapoka asiri kufamba zvakanaka dzigone kufamba zvakanaka. Sekutaura kwataita kuti kune sarudzo zvakare dziri kuuya kuNamibia, ndo zvimwe zviri kukurukurwa nhasi kuti sarudzo idzi dzifambidzwe zvakanaka. Tinoziva kuti muSADC mune yavanoti maguidelines ekuita sarudzo, ndo avaroda kutarisa kuti ari kutevedzera here pakuita sarudzo dzese dzakaitwa nedziri kuitwa, kuitira kuti kana dzoitwa porega kuva nezhowe mukati medzinyika, kuitira kuti budiriro irambe ichiitwa, kuitira kuti kubatana nekufambidzana nekudyidzana nekushandidzana zvakanaka muSADC kurambe kuchienderera mberi. So tinoona kuti idonzo rakanaka riri kuitwa nenyika dzeSADC. So nhasi unotanga chupai zvichange zvichiitika kuno. Tinoziva kuti tine vatungamiri vedzinyika vatotarisira kusvika muno munguva pfupi inotevera, president vekuBotswana vaDuma Boko nevamwe vatungamiri venyika dzemuSADC vatotarisira kusvika kuitira kuti musangano uya weExtraordinary Summit kwaunoitwa vange vavepo vagoisa musoro pamwe. So tinasaive silipake ukabe kusenzakala ngapha ilanga lonke ukuze sazi ukuthi ke kuyozala nkomoni eDRC ukhetho lweNamibia zakutsha kuhle yini, ukuthula kuzaqhubeka kukhona yini eDRC eSADC. Yikho ke okumqoka kumazwe eSADC, okumqoka kubakhokheli abeSADC abakhona kathesi. Monica.
Absolutely. And Wadzanai, speaking to the elections in the region, you spoke about Botswana. There was a very smooth transition of power in Botswana, and this also speaks to a very positive move in terms of that peace, that stability, which is of course needed when we're having these processes, these electoral processes in the region. However, we have seen a lot of these disturbances being reported on in Mozambique. There have been some of those protests happening in parts of Mozambique, and hence these are going to be some of the critical issues that will be discussed here at this extraordinary summit to see what will be done. But already they have spoken to the internal processes should take place in Mozambique first before any other interventions whatsoever, if ever need be of any interventions. And so we will continue to have our ears on the ground and also get to hear what will be the final say in terms of issues to that regard. But coming back to the DRC, Wadzanai, the humanitarian crisis that we spoke to, you will find that the DRC is the world's largest internal displacement. We've seen about 7.3 million or so people in the DRC displaced, which is a huge crisis. And so with that huge displacement itself, it speaks to how we are going to see this displacement, how it will contribute to the decision of whether there will be that extension to that SADC mission in those parts of the DRC. But moving on, we have seen a lot of achievements in the region, Wadzanai, in as much as this is an extraordinary summit where the heads of state and government will be sitting to look at the issues of peace and security and stability. We've seen a lot of inroads for the region in terms of infrastructure development. We've seen a lot of cooperation between the member states. We've seen a lot of investment between member states, a lot of intra-trade that has also been happening among the member states that make up the 16-member regional bloc.
All right, their sentiments are being shared by Monica Chanda, who is currently at Mount Hampton, of course, for the sitting of the Extraordinary Summit. We'll be giving you more live updates as we do progress, and I'll also be hearing a bit more from our guests who have joined us in the studio to be able to unpack some of the key tenets that have come up from the engagement happening during the course of this week. We'll take a short break and be back with more. Stay tuned.
For the live coverage of the SADC Extraordinary Summit of SADC Heads of State and Government taking place in Harare, Zimbabwe. Heads of State and Government from the Southern African Development Community will convene to address pressing regional issues, including peace, security, and economic development. His Excellency, President Emerson Mnangagwa, as the current chairperson of SADC, will lead discussions on key regional concerns. Our team will bring you comprehensive coverage of the Extraordinary Summit with expert analysis and insights from Harare. Don't miss this critical event. Tune in to ZBC Current Affairs for the live coverage of the SADC Extraordinary Summit starting from the 16th to the 20th of this month. Current Affairs, giving you the authentic Zimbabwean story.
Justin Matlatla. I'm the executive producer of the online news desk. I'm also your anchor for the ZBC News and Current Affairs programs that touch on different subjects, be it social issues, be it sport, be it business, be it economics. I believe it's important that people pay license fees for ZBC because that way the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation is able to fund the news gathering processes so that across the country, whatever is happening, the developments that are taking place can be shared with the generality of the people through ZBC. So I encourage Zimbabweans to continue paying their TV and radio licenses in order to support the national broadcaster and to make sure that it continues to produce the programs that you love to watch.
Stay informed and entertained. Pay your ZBC radio and TV license today.
As the chair of the Sadc region, Zimbabwe is about to host the Extraordinary Summit from the 17th to the 20th of November. And this special meeting comes on the backdrop of disturbances in parts of Mozambique, as well as, let's take it from the top, my energy. As the chair of the Sadc region, Zimbabwe is about to host the Sadc Extraordinary Summit from the 17th to the 20th of November. And this is a special meeting coming on the backdrop of disturbances in DRC, Sadc Standby Force mandate that is coming to an end, as well as some of the disturbances happening in Mozambique. This is your program, Sadc Connect. My name is Monica Chanda, and on this program, we take a look at those regional issues. And today, with a special focus looking at issues of integration. And joining me on the program, we do have political scientist, Mr. Richard Mahomva. Welcome to Sadc Connect.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We are also joined by chairperson of By Zimbabwe. You are also a business expert, Mr. Mnyara Dziwengwere. Welcome to Sadc Connect.
Thank you.
Now, Zimbabwe having successfully hosting the Sadc Summit in August. We also saw a government drive in terms of issues of industrialization. We also saw the Industrialization Week, which was the precursor to the Sadc Summit itself. Now, key events of the summit, and even as a region, how would you say integration issues, industrialization issues fared? And we'll start with Mr. Mahomva.
So the starting point is that there is an overarching interest for the region to industrialize, and the fact that we actually had a mega SADC Industrial Week is reminiscent of the fact that the first SADC Industrialization Week was actually convened in Zimbabwe some years back. So it was reminiscent of that time. And it's quite expressive of the extent to which the region to which the SADC entity is standing where it stood years back in terms of the industrial agenda. And if you look at the Zimbabwean context also as a microcosm of the bigger picture, the president has been emphatic on the need to industrialize the economy, on the need to beneficiate. So there is a consensual point from SADC heads of state that we need to industrialize. And for me, having the SADC Industrialization Week as a major highlight to the summit is quite instructive of the industrialization commitment that the region has as a way of transmitting the political solidarity to economic dividends, and it's key.
Okay. And Mr. Wengwere, coming from the business sector, let's talk to the issue of how you would say the region was able to leverage
He's been asleep for 5,000 years.
You find us a cell that can hold him, we'll take care of the rest.
Who's on the team?
I didn't bring a passport. We don't need passports.
There's a war going on outside, we ain't safe from.
Welcome back. You are still with us and watching the live feed of the Sadc Extraordinary Summit 2024, which is happening over in Mount Hampden. My name is Marissa Marinda, and this is really an exciting time. It is day 4 of the Sadc meeting, and a lot of dignitaries, a lot of presidents are coming into the country to sit down and discuss pertinent issues that are happening in our neighboring countries. Now, economic critics do say that conflicts have many shocking results on economies, which cause reduced economic growth, and these make it harder for governments to raise revenue and spend on social programs over increased military spending. Now, a case study is in the Democratic Republic of Congo, obviously, where there has been a long history of conflict, political upheaval and instability as well. Now, this has led to a grave ongoing humanitarian crisis. In addition, there has also been forced displacement of a population, and according to the World Bank, these statistics are sitting at an estimated 73.5% of Congolese people living on less than $2.15 per day, and this is in 2024. About 1 out of 6 people are living in extreme poverty in SSA lives in the DRC. Now, joining us is Daisy Hunu. She is an economist, my favorite economist, I must say. Thank you. So well done to you. You got that title, Marissa's favorite economist. Now, welcome, Daisy, to the show. Lovely to have you discussing some of these issues. Now, in general, what impact do conflicts really have on the economy?
Well, in general, we know that companies will stop functioning, which means employment is going to go low, and also schools are going to be closed. And because of the conflict, definitely the health sector will be impacted. And on the long run, there will be infrastructural issues that will have to be fixed when the conflict is done. It just makes the economy go back 100 steps further. You know, you are taking one step forward by, say, for example, the DRC situation, where you're like, okay, now we are mining our own product and we want to do the most with our minerals, and then conflict starts and then you go 100 steps behind. So yeah.
Yeah, that is a huge impact on the economy, and even like when you were saying that it affects school children, development of the next generation. That's something that I'm always baffled about, why that would put a halt on that. Now, looking at the DRC conflict, how has the ongoing disturbances impacted the country's overall economic stability?
Well, first and foremost, agricultural activities have been stalled. They cannot do anything, considering those areas, especially the eastern side, that's where most people had their arable land. So that has stopped. There's also an issue with, like I said, the health sector. They have the mpox outbreak right now, and it's really heavy on the health sector because already it was struggling, and then now comes this outbreak, and because of the displacement of people and being concentrated in camps, mpox is really spreading fast and wide. So now it has become really hard for the government to be able to handle that situation, and malnutrition. Already we've got a drought this year, and it has affected the already small portion of food that was available. And the fact that some donations cannot get to the people in that region specifically, then it means that there's hunger. It's actually under 3 million people that are really close to being to experiencing famine. So the economy is really struggling. And now the government has to worry about food security. It has to worry about mpox vaccines and all that.
You know, sometimes when you think, it's like thinking climate change, it's only thinking, it's just the weather, but it affects a lot of everything else. And obviously this conflict, there's sectors that it affects as well. I mean, we've just touched on the issue of mpox, so that means the health sector is affected. But what is the main sector that has been affected by this conflict in the DRC, and why?
Well, besides agriculture, let's say there is mining. Mining, because it is actually the source
Right.
of the conflict. It is the reason why there are those major conflicts. So now mining has been impacted, and you will see that the thing that was supposed to make DRC greater, make it have an added advantage, is now the thing that is destroying the nation.
The country.
So mining sector, definitely, health sector, agriculture, those three mainly have really been impacted by this conflict.
All right, and obviously we speak of the mining sector being impacted. I mean, what has been the impact on the mining sector? Yes, it has been impacted, but what exactly has been that impact from them? As I know that they are fighting about the minerals and things like that, but what impact has that had?
Well, considering that now everyone considers this a dangerous trade. I mean, who wants to go there without actually having the support of a militia or, you know, things that would have benefited the people around? Investors, they're not really willing to get into there unless, of course, they're willing to be affiliated. And now it is dangerous to be affiliated because the militias are exchanging power. One time it's the other side that is winning, the other time is the M23. I mean, you are always anxious. So
because you really don't know which side you're supposed to be on.
Exactly.
And
so
at what point do you get out?
Exactly. So now, considering all that, investment definitely